Disclaimer: the contents within this video are supplemental to the safety lessons taught in class by the tech ed teacher and is not the definitive last word on the subject at hand. No person or student should attempt to follow any of the safety guidelines herein or use equipment until they receive safety training from the tech ed teacher within the shop itself and only after completing their safety demonstration and written test. Alright, welcome to the safety video for the plasma cutter. So this is the hand plasma cutter. We also have a mechanized plasma table outside, but the majority of the safety is on the hand plasma here. So how the hand plasma works is this. It uses compressed air that comes out this hose here. Compressed air goes through the machine. The machine generates an arc, and that arc combines with the compressed air to create plasma. It uses consumables inside the tip here to create the arc. We have a swirl ring that causes the air to swirl. We have the electrode that the air passes and creates the arc. And we have a nozzle that focuses the plasma to create the up to 40,000 degrees of heat and burns through just about anything. So the safety for the plasma cutter is as follows. First of all, ourselves, okay? So we need to have a welding jacket on to protect our torso. We need to have something to protect our legs and lower extremities. That's going to either be welding pants if you've got them, or it's going to be welding chaps. And we need to protect our feet with welding spats if we don't have welding boots. So I'm going to put a picture up on the screen right now. And that's what those look like. So once we're wearing the right clothes, we also want to make sure we have our gloves and this time we're going to use a green tinted shade 5 face shield to protect yourselves from the bright arc that comes from this. It's very bright. So with that, our personal protective equipment is dealt with. We do want to check our environment. So we're going to turn on ventilation when it comes time to cut. So we have these ventilators that are going to suck the nasty air out. We want to make sure there's nothing on the ground that can burn: paper, cardboard, wood, anything like that, fuel, oil, that kind of stuff, so that we don't want that to get burnt. We also don't want to use the plasma cutter in wet conditions. It's electrical. We don't want to get shocked, which is electricity passing through our body. And we also don't want to be electrocuted, which is death from shock. So we want to make sure that we're safe. The area around here looks really good, so we're going to continue. So the plasma cutter creates a lot of bright light. So when we're using the plasma cutter, we want to protect other people by cutting behind these black curtains in the welding booth, or setting up curtains around what we're cutting if we're doing it outside of the welding booth. Again, this stuff is bright, bright as the sun, if not brighter. We want to protect ourselves and other people from that as well. Before we cut anything, we want to make sure the material we're cutting is safe. In this demo, I'm just going to be cutting off the back half of an old chainsaw bar that will be used to make a knife later on. This isn't flammable. It's not going to explode. It's not going to burn. But we want to make sure that we're not cutting ore. We don't want to cut. We don't want to grind. We don't want to weld on anything that has held flammables. So anything that can burn. All right, gasoline, diesel, kerosene. There's been an accident in the past in a high school shop out back east of a kid who got hurt by cutting into a barrel that was, I believe it held peppermint oil, okay, food grade, but people just, got to be safe. So don't cut into anything that could burn or explode. So now that we've talked about the safety, let's set the machine up to cut. So safely cut, after we've determined that everything is good and we're all set up to safely do our job, we're going to put the ground onto the table. And we're going to hang our work off the edge of the table. That's where we're going to cut. And we're going to take our cutting torch, okay? And to cut safely, we want to make sure that we're well away from the cutting end, the tip. We're going to put it on the edge of the material. We're going to fire it up, and we're going to drag it towards us, okay? And then we're going to be watching where we're cutting, but we're not cutting into ourselves, and watching where the sparks are going, making sure they're not going anywhere they shouldn't, and everything should be fine. Ventilation to suck away the fumes. Everything will be good. This brings us to the main reason why the plasma cutter is one of the most dangerous tools in the shop. Okay? So it has a little safety latch here. Alright, you have to lift that safety latch and then pull the trigger. Unlike the drills, the grinders, the lathes, everything else that slowly spins up and gets going, which gives you a chance to go, whoa, that was dangerous. This is instant on. Alright, so what do I mean by that? Well, turn the switch on the back of the machine. We've got 2 green lights, which means we're good to go. It's just this. Off. You don't have any time to get your hands out of the way. You don't have any time to, whoa, it's on or it's off. So before you pull that trigger, make sure you know where that tip is and what it's going to be hitting. Because if it's hitting you, you're having a bad day. So instant on tool makes it the most dangerous. And finally, we've covered the hand plasma cutter, but we have the plasma table across the room. The only safety difference between it and this one is that it's run by the computer. The computer doesn't know the difference between you and metal. It's not going to stop because you scream in pain or whatever the case may be. So keep your hands behind the curtains when it's cutting so that nothing can get touched by the machine. It's that simple. So let's look at a cut here. So I'm going to put my PPE on, my gloves on. I'm already wearing my welder's pants. I'm wearing my gloves. So again, for you to use the plasma cutter, you need to wear spats on first to cover your feet. Then you need to put chaps over top of those spats. Then you need to put a jacket over top of the chaps. And then you need to put gloves on and a face shield on. Okay? So I'm going to turn the ventilation on and switch on the wall. Position it over the cut. I'm going to take my torch. I'm going to start at the edge and then pull towards me. It looks like this. All right, and of course, we just cut this with, 40,000 degrees of plasma. It's going to be hot. It's kind of sharp. It's kind of got a bit of burr on there. That's the slag, or also known as dross. So if we're going to walk away from this, first thing we're going to do is take a hot work marker.